Welcome to the perpetual show, where the loaves go, we've got flow. Oh yeah. Driving through the fields of green, oh so bright, with the loaf by your side, everything feels right. Loafing through the fields, feeling so alive. In our boxy Russian van, we're taking our stride. Past the fallen soldiers, a bittersweet sight. But we're cruising on this road tonight. Bouncing to the rhythm, calypso in our soul. The loaf's engine purring as our story unfolds. We're singing and we're dancing, the sun shining above. The loaf takes us places where we find love. Loafing through the fields, feeling so alive. In our boxy Russian van, we're taking our stride. Past the fallen soldiers, a bittersweet sight. But we're cruising on this road tonight. Bouncing to the rhythm, calypso in our soul. The love's engine purring as our story unfolds. We're singing and we're dancing, the sun shining above. The loaf takes us places where we find love.
Hello, everybody. I'm here. I'm not sober. But anyways, been a while. It's been a while. Yeah, we don't stream enough anymore. I'd like to stream more. It's just a lot of work recently, you know? The workload explodes exponentially. But you know what? I got into a habit. I got into a habit recently of and I think it's a good habit. Although it is a lot of work, but I think it's a good habit. Basically, what I've been doing is I wake up at around 3 a.m. I try to wake up earlier, but realistically, 3 a.m. is about the time. Um, I usually get to work around 3:30, 3:45 because it takes me a little bit of time to wake up, and I do some others, I make some tea and do other things. So, anyways, so around 3:45, and then I just blitz it from 3:45 until noon. I work without any interruptions. Just boom. Just 8 hours straight. No breaks. Going as hard as I can, you know. It's like a sprinting, just all out sprinting, as hard work as possible. And then around 12, I kind of dial it back to about 50%. And I kind of go 50% of the rest of the day. But today, I did about 120 videos up till now today, which is a lot of videos, to be honest. Let me put it this way. Last year, we were doing 60 videos a day, and I did 120 by myself today. Oh man, has times changed, you know? And then I think there's about 15 videos outstanding for today right now. Maybe Gek will do them. Who knows? Or maybe I'll just do them when the stream's over. I don't know. Kind of tired, to be honest. But here we are. How y'all doing? So, yesterday, let me tell you something about yesterday, because a lot of people have asked me about yesterday. Yesterday, I did what I just described. I blitzed all morning. I was ahead of the game on around noon. I was doing great. I had broken down every video. I geolocated every video I could geolocate. I was doing great. Everything was 100%. And then Telegram broke. I couldn't view Telegram anymore for the rest of the day. So, up until noon, I was perfect. I was probably more like 1. Up till like 1, I was perfect. But then from 1 on, couldn't see anything. So now, yesterday was a train wreck because I missed like the second, I did like the first 12 hours of the day, but then like the second 8 hours. Didn't do. Still not done. People keep asking me, when are you going to post the stats for yesterday? Like, bruh, there's like, I have like 90 more videos to watch for yesterday. It takes me all day to do that. I don't even know. Really, it's like a disaster. But I don't know. We'll get around to it eventually. That's the way the war is. It's unforgiving. You know, even if the mistake's not your mistake, you have to live with it sometimes. It's not my fault. I was trying. Really hard yesterday, but it all fell apart. Anyways, so yeah. So hi Jonathan. How you doing, Jonathan? Anyways, so on to the news. I don't know if like Gek is gonna come or something. I kind of thought he would come, but he didn't. So here's still Gek. I'm a load apparently. So there's some news that I find very worrying, and I don't see anyone really talking about it. There's a new drone. It's not really new. It's not really new. I would show you footage from today, it came out today, that would prove to you that it's not new, but I cannot show you that footage. Well, I may be able to show you part of it. I'll show you enough that you'll realize that this is not new, okay? I'll show you just enough to show you that it's not new. But I can't show you more than that, okay? Do you see this? This is a drone. This is well, not new, but it's new. Okay, so here it's flying. This is a Chasiv Yar, sort of. Well, I'll show you where this is in a second. But this is basically Chasiv Yar. This is like that pond to the south of Chasiv Yar, and this is like that quarry that's north of the pond. Anyways, so this is a new drone, and it's flying. It's doing some flies. So some people have called this a Lancet. It's not a Lancet. It has a name. I don't actually know how to pronounce the name. I'm just going to pronounce it the way I pronounce it, even though I'm pretty sure this is not how you actually pronounce it. So I call it the Molnia. That's how I say it. There's probably some proper way of saying that, but I say Molnia. So it's a fixed wing drone. You can see it's fixed wing, has a propeller in the front. This camera that you're viewing, this is not the camera the pilot sees. This is like a GoPro that's like strapped to it for fun or whatever. It's like a camera strapped to it for fun. This is not like the actual. I'm pretty sure that there's an actual camera that has like optics on it. Let me put it this way. If I'm wrong and this is the actual camera, that's kind of embarrassing for them. But whatever. So this is a camera. I don't think this is the camera the pilot sees, but this is a camera. And you see that this is a fixed wing drone. And it's flying at a pickup truck that's right over here. And I'm gonna stop the video now. So this is a drone. So that video you could see it was from a while ago. You could see that it was in basically winter. The trees are brown. There's no grass. It's basically winter. See this one. This is also Chasiv Yar. This is much more recent, if not current. Okay, so you see this little guy. He's flying around, being a Molnia, and this is what Chasiv Yar looks like now, and it's flying at this water tower, whatever this tower is. And it flies into that tower. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit so you can, because it changes view. Okay, so here is a like Mavic drone watching it fly. So you see the little guy flying around. Oh, I didn't mean to show that part. Anyway, so it flew into like a water tower. I don't know what was on the water tower. Like I looked at it like frame by frame. I couldn't see anything on the tower. Like I was expecting to see like electronic warfare or a camera or some sort of surveillance. There wasn't. I didn't see anything on. It was just like a tower. Okay. So so yeah, that is pneumonia. There were more videos of pneumonia yesterday over here somewhere. Anyway, they've been using a whole bunch of these. Okay, that's kind of the point here. Is I'm very worried about this drone because it's effective. It's a very good drone. It's deceptively good. So here are the reasons it's good. First, it it's reasonably accurate. So if you take like an FPV drone, FPV drones like the quadcopter FPV drone is very accurate because it's very maneuverable. You can stop, you can turn around, you can hover, you can do all sorts of things to maneuver into a position. Okay, so that if you consider that on one end of the spectrum, and the other end of the spectrum is a Lancet, which I wish I could show the Lancet video. I tweeted it. The Lancet goes after a Book and misses by like 30 meters or something. Okay, so that's a Lancet. So if you consider a Lancet on one end of the spectrum and an FPV drone on the other end of the spectrum, the Monia is like in the middle, probably closer to the FPV side. Okay, so the Monia is accurate. Second, it has a very large warhead. I don't know what the warhead size is, but it's very large. I would imagine 5 kilograms. That would be my guess. It feels like it's on par with an FPV drone, maybe a little bit bigger. So I would guess around 5 kilograms. I don't actually know the warhead on a Lancet. I would guess it's also like I guess it's like 8. I don't know. I actually don't know. But anyways, so it's a pretty large warhead. It's pretty accurate. So those are two things. I don't actually know its range, but its range appears to be roughly the same as an FPV drone. But its accuracy is very deadly because it doesn't appear to have some problems that FPV drones have. Because FPV drones are inherently weak to electronic warfare because they require all four of their engines to operate in order to fly. Whereas a fixed wing drone, if the engine fails, it can still glide. And if you lose signal, you can glide, and maybe even the engine will keep going, and you might eventually regain signal on the other side. So it might just fly in a straight line for a while, and then you might regain signal depending on the situation. So that is an inherent strength against electronic warfare that fixed wing drones have. So it so that's a strength that has over an FPV drone. So it sacrifices some accuracy to have that benefit. And in theory, it could have a much longer range because its range would be limited by fuel and signal. So it doesn't. In other words, you can have it powered by gas, basically by a fuel other than a battery. So you can have longer range because you have higher energy density in whatever fuel you're using than in the battery. So I'm actually very worried about these new drones. They're not really new. They've been around for a few months, but they appear to be being used more. And the way they're being used, especially by that first channel I showed you, the Pseudoplatov, they're one of the larger drone people, like drone manufacturers. And it makes me think that they may be mass producing this drone. These may have been test cases because this is from a while ago. You can see that just the trees are not really trees yet. Maybe this is from March. I don't actually know, but I think we've seen them even earlier than that. This drone, I find worrying. It's worrying to me. It's something to keep an eye on. And I don't really see people talking about that too much. I don't really understand why. Um, we've seen these drones destroy vehicles. We've seen them destroy artillery pieces. Um, they appear to have some sort of incendiary effect in their warhead. I don't know if that's intentional or not. But in a few of the videos where they hit, the warhead threw out like chunks of fire, and it it seemed like a napalm type thing. Like it was like solid chunks of fire that when it it flew out and like hit the ground, and like when it hit the ground it like shattered into more fire. It seemed kind of like some sort of sticky, flammable substance, like a napalm sort of thing. But I'm not really sure. It may just be a coincidence, or it may just maybe it is powered by a gas, like a gasoline or a kerosene, and maybe that liquid caught fire, and that's what did it. I'm not really sure, but it does appear to have some sort of incendiary effect. I've seen them cause very large fires. I've seen them. They fly them into a house, and the explosion is very large because it's a big warhead. It's like 5 kilograms or whatever. So it does a lot of damage to the house, and then it causes a giant fire on top of it. Anyways, that's just one thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna look through the chat because I wasn't actually looking at the chat while I was talking. I actually closed my eyes and I was just gonna like look it out into space. Anyways, yeah, I do stream. I used to stream more. It seems that over time I stream less, but anyway. Uh, so I think the biggest news recently is oh hey, the map didn't render right. I wonder if it rendered right for today. That's cool. The biggest news for the past like 24 hours is this large attack that Russia did in Gerivka, where they kind of assaulted. In the video you see them begin the assault like back here, and we have it geolocated all. I mean, the video is really trivial to geolocate, but today I was just focusing on getting through a lot of videos today instead of just geolocating one because it's a very long, complicated video. But you see it start around here. You see it drive by. You see these islands in the background of the video, very distinctive. You see those, you know exactly where you are. But anyways, so they were there, kind of drive. They took a whole bunch of casualties. They apparently lost like all the vehicles they sent. It was kind of amusing. The mixture of vehicles was BTRs, BTR 80s, BTR 82As. I think there was a BMP or two in there and a few tanks. The BTR 80s is interesting because Russia's kind of running low on BTR 80s, and seeing them use them is kind of a head scratcher to me. I would imagine they would use a BTR 70 preferentially, because I would want to turn my BTR 80s into a BTR 82A or a BTR 82AT, which would be their kind of the most modernized version, I guess. But they're not. They're just kind of YOLOing the BTR 80s, and they don't have that. I don't think they have that many left. Like I don't know the exact number, but um, I believe their storage capacity for them has dwindled to like almost nothing. So I think everything, all the BTR 80s they have are activated in service. So it's kind of like every time they lose one, it's gone forever, which is interesting. I guess they can replace it with BTR 70. It's not that different. But anyways, they use BTR 80s in this attack. I haven't geolocated. I'm sure other people like it's really easy to geolocate that video, so I'm sure lots of people have done it so far. But they did their attack here. So this kind of advance that I drew on my map, this isn't from this attack. This is actually from I think Russians have just kind of controlled this area for a long time, and I had it as a gray area the whole time. When you hear Ukrainians describe the situation here, they say that Russia controls about half the town and Ukraine controls about half the town. If you look at the Russian telegram right now, you see so many people saying, "Oh, we've liberated it." You know, the Russians are claiming they captured the whole town. I see no evidence of that. The assault they did yesterday was a train wreck, and a lot of the Ukrainians are saying that after the assault yesterday, Russia moved in, they captured some positions, and then today, uh, the Ukrainians are saying that they counterattacked and retook all the positions they lost. Um, I imagine it's just from what I hear, the fighting is kind of in the middle of the town where each extreme is controlled by the other side. So that's what this kind of is. I think Russia probably controlled this area for the whole time, maybe. Uh, yeah, that's kind of the biggest story of the past 24 hours or so. Um, and it's kind of a story without an ending. We don't have the ending to it yet, so we don't really know exactly what's going on. We know the Russians are claiming they captured it, and Ukraine is saying that nothing has changed really. So I guess we'll find out over time. Um, Krasnohorivka, there's a video that came out today of Russian infantry kind of advancing into this building right here. I think it's called both of these buildings. Anyway, they advanced in, and then they turned around and ran away. And while they were running away, there were kind of bullets landing at their feet. And then the Russians were like, "We advanced." The video, it just kind of tickled me. It's just like guys running away while getting shot at. They're like, "Oh, it's going great, guys. It's going great." Uh, so yeah, that's Krasnohorivka. Um, I think Krasnohorivka is basically um Russia is going to capture it. I think that's kind of the short of it, unless like something like really dramatically changes. Like, but that would be like a dramatic change. I think Russia is going to capture it. But they're taking so long in doing it. It's kind of amazing because when you think about it, like there's this kind of middle area of these like large high-rise buildings that you see like all through this middle area here. And then once you get to the other side of those buildings, it's all houses, right? All houses. And these houses, from what I've heard people like I know a few people who like go to Krasnohorivka and or at least they have in the past. They've like helped evacuate civilians and stuff like that. I've talked to a few people like that, and they're telling me that like the houses in Krasnohorivka, from what I've been told, are built in kind of a more Western style construction. Because if you know like the kind of the Russian style of construction or Eastern European. I don't know whose style it is, but they tend to build things with like a double layer of brick wall. So like you build like an inner like brick room, and then there's like a space, and then like an outer brick wall, and that's used as like insulation. And anyway, so having the double brick wall makes structures or like even like these basic houses much stronger. But I've heard that these, not like I've heard a lot of these houses are built in more of like a Western style, like more of kind of like an American style, where it's more like thinner walls and like sheetrock and insulation rather than having the double brick wall. So for that reason, uh, these houses when a bomb goes off, like if like a bomb goes off like right here, a lot of the houses just get leveled. And I've heard from people who have gone to this town, like, and they've, or this, whatever, this city, whatever, and they like go to a street, and they get to know the people on the street, and then like they'll go like one day and they'll leave and they'll come back like 2 or 3 days later, and when they come back, like 15 of the houses are missing. They're like, what happened? A bomb fell. It's like, it was just one bomb. Like, yeah, one bomb. So it's like one bomb wiping out like a whole street, you know. So whereas when you see other areas of Ukraine, bombs don't typically do that much damage. They usually wipe out like like the immediate surroundings, and the rest of the houses. I mean, let's not get it wrong. They're not in good shape when a bomb goes off. It's not good for the house, but they typically don't get leveled like a pancake, you know. So anyway, so Krasnohorivka for that reason is uniquely bad to defend. Once you get out of this middle area, and somehow Ukraine is defending it. So I honestly don't know how. I honestly don't know how. So they do have they seem to control these high rises here, which is probably the key to everything, to be honest. And then there's also kind of these here. So like this is probably holding back the whole eastern attack, and that's, I imagine, is absolutely vital. But then this kind of middle area, I think there is like some buffer of these high-rise buildings, and maybe the Russians haven't quite advanced this far. Maybe they're only there. I'm not really sure. But so yeah, I just imagine once Russia gets into these residential neighborhoods, it's going to be completely over, and it's simply amazing to me that they haven't done that yet, and that the video that we see now is them attacking this building. It's amazing to me. So yeah, that's kind of that. Nevelske, there's been some advances here from the Russians. We had some drone attacks, etc. This is another area where it's kind of amazing that Ukraine has held this for so long. When you imagine how long the fighting has been going on in this town, just to put it in perspective, like there was fighting in this town like back when like Peacekeep was the center of attention. Like it's been a minute they've been fighting over this town, and Russia appears to have captured about, I don't know, like a half of it or a quarter, a third, whatever you want to call it. So, but there's still a bit of ways to go, uh, and, and just keep in mind that the whole point of Nevelska was to break the flank of Krasnohorivka so they could wrap around and attack it from the side. Because the goal here was to go uh, like this and attack Krasnohorivka, and then break Krasnohorivka to capture Mariinka. But obviously they've captured Mariinka kind of the hard way. So uh, the whole situation is a bit different than the Russians originally um, thought it would be, especially since they've been unable to move west from Pobieda, which I think is one of the miracles of the war, that Ukraine has been able to defend Pobieda, or defend the western outskirts of Pobieda. So, people are talking about the losses, right? There's a link to the losses in the description, although they're not for yesterday. They're for 2 days ago. In fact, today's losses are going to come out before yesterday's losses. Um, Yesterday's losses is going to take a while. Let's just see. I know I'll look at yesterday's stats first, a quick second. So yesterday, um, let's see. Let me do some quick math. Well, no, today's has more than I thought. Okay, so today I have to do 50. Oh, so yesterday isn't. Oh, well, okay. So yesterday there are yesterday has 66 videos that we haven't even watched yet. And in addition to that, in addition to that 66, I have to do 42 vehicles. I have to ID and screenshot, etc., etc. 42 vehicles, and then those 66 or whatever videos. So that's what I have to do to finish yesterday. Okay, so yesterday is a long way from being done. And just keep in mind today, it took me all day today to do 100 videos, and there's like 66 more for yesterday. So anyway, so let's kind of move on. Uh, so the area in Avdiivka, it's kind of, I don't know how to interpret it, to be honest. My gut tells me it's a controlled withdrawal for Ukraine that they're just pulling out. Um, there's this area here. You see this right here, this kind of like big landmass, and how on the other side of it there's like all this water, right? There's like all this water on the other side. Um, I think Ukraine is basically just saying you can have this, you can have it, take it. Um, so there right now, there's some defense going on here to the south of Novoselivka, Persia. There's some defense going on to the south. Russia is kind of advancing straight up from Umansk, and they're pushing to the west over here. So they're kind of pincering it from every possible angle as Ukraine appears to be slowly withdrawing, and I think they're going to withdraw to this kind of water and defend the water. I think that's ultimately the goal. Of course, it's complicated a bit in that Russia is like capturing Sokil, and this is kind of on the other side of the water, so you can kind of go around the water. But of course, then you just have to defend for here. So, anyways, so that this natural water feature is kind of, I think, ultimately the defensive line here, and I think Ukraine is withdrawing to it. Of course, Russia is attacking Karlivka, and double, of course, Karlivka has water running through part of it because there's here, and in the middle there's water. Um, this dam doesn't exist anymore. The It was exploded by a missile. There's a temporary bridge there that can be blown at a moment's notice, and that would kind of sever the two halves of the town, which I think is ultimately what's going to happen. There are a few natural crossing points, like there is this crossing point right here, which has a road on it, but even more, there's more natural crossing points. If you see like where these roads kind of go into water, this is probably a natural fording area. So, and there's a few of them along the ways. You see right here, this might be a natural ford. Um, yeah, so, and this might be a natural ford. But the important thing is that there's limited places where you can naturally cross without necessarily needing that much equipment. And the rest of the areas, you would need equipment. And even in those areas, you probably still need equipment to cross it. So this will be a natural barrier that Russia would have to fight through, and it would be a bit of a nightmare, especially because it kind of goes, it's kind of wrinkly, like a normal river. So there's lots of areas where Ukraine can defend, but Russia is trying to break into Karlivka, and they probably will eventually, and then we'll end up, I think personally, it'll end up as a Russia would just stop here. I think that's what will happen. Of course, I might be wrong, but we'll see. And as you go further south, you get into a much stronger defensive position, where this is kind of like um, right here. This reservoir is kind of like a moat, if you think, because this whole area to the north of the water of these rivers and ponds, etc. The area north is on a hill. So this is a hill up here. And down here is relatively flat and pretty much all lowland. So Ukraine would be withdrawing to the hill, and around the hill you have all this water. This part is like a moat, and then here is even more water, and the water just continues and continues all the way up to Karlivka. So and you can see that these are all kind of urban um, towns and small cities and whatever, and intermixed with these industrial areas, these like mines and factories, etc. over here. And you see even like this is like a power plant, etc. So there's a lot going on here that's all plays into defense for Ukraine. This is a very good place to defend and a very, very difficult place to attack. I think the methods of attack here would be to not attack. You would want to push, from Pobieda and go around it. You would want to push from Novomikhailivka and go around it, or you would want to push from like through Vuhledar and go around it, or through Vodiana and go around it. You see, all of the options are go around it. Velika Novosilka to bypass everything, and I think this might be an important area for Russia to attack in the near future. Uh, and also a terrible place to attack, but I'll get to that maybe. So this is all probably one of the best places for Ukraine to defend. There are a few things I wish Ukraine did that they haven't done. I wish that they would build up extra roads moving in this direction, because you see all the roads kind of go this way. I would want them, like, I wish that they would build a highway basically that just went like that. That's what I wish. Because they need more supply roads here. That's I think that's one of the most worrying things about this area is the lack of supply roads. They need like you see how these roads are all kind of parallel. They run north and south. They need something that runs east and west. But anyway, so that's all the strength. This is why Russia is trying to go north. Like I said, they've tried to go south. All their southern attacks have failed. So the only place they're having real success is in the north. Thank you for the donation. Very kind of you. Oh, there's another donation. Oh, you gifted 10 memberships. It's very kind of you to gift memberships. The all-seeing eye, the green eyeball. That's who we worship around here. It's the green eyeball in the sky. Their patron. But yeah, like I said, Russia is advancing in the north a bit. Not as much as I thought they would by now, but they are. Um, they're advancing in Novo-Alexandrivka. They've advanced all over Novo-Alexandrivka. They've gone through the middle of the town. They're going through the south. They are kind of moving along, not actually along the rail, but they're kind of like north parallel to the rail. So they're kind of advancing west, which I find weird. I thought that they would primarily focus on north. Moving west, I think, is actually good for Ukraine, for Russia to move west, because it's easier for Ukraine to defend against. Um, what's going on with the changes in Chasev Yar and Ivanivska? Um, I'm not sure what you mean by the change back. Uh, oh, this. Oh, that. Oh, the map didn't save. Oh no. Anyway, so why did I change this? It's for one simple reason. Today, I read a bit about how Ukraine still holds um this bit of forest and in undisclosed positions on these straits and maybe even here. And I've heard that Ukraine still holds those positions. So that's why I undid it. That's why I undid it. And yesterday it didn't save right, but today it saved. You know what? I think I can fix yesterday. Give me a second. I think I can fix yesterday by putting today in yesterday. I don't know if that would kind of break it though. Whatever. We'll just do it. We'll just do it. Um, yeah. I'll put today in yet. It'll be unfortunately break a little bit, but whatever. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll all survive. It'll be great. Uh, and I'm gonna update it. I have to type in my password first and click the update button, and then we're gonna force the update. Force the update button, and yeah, I fixed it. Okay, so yesterday is better again. So yeah, that's why I reversed it. So uh, I've heard that Ukraine actually does still control part of Ivanivska, which is interesting. It's interesting. Um, I'm not 100% sure it's true, which is why I didn't mark it blue. It's I just feel more comfortable saying it's a gray area. Um, no, I don't really know what else to say. Yeah, I just feel more comfortable saying it's a gray area because I they they're very intent on claiming that they control this area. I guess like if they do control it, then I imagine Russia doesn't actually control as far south either. It probably would only control the highlands here and not the lowlands too. But um, yeah. Does anybody else have a question? I should check the questions more often. Um, the turtle tanks in Krasnohorivka, I think they did should debut in Krasnohorivka. They may have debuted sooner. No, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Krasnohorivka because I think the first ever turtle tank was manufactured in what's it called, Staromayorska or whatever that town's called. No, Staromykolivka. I think the first ever turtle tank was manufactured in Staromykolivka, and I think it was part of this assault from the south where they attacked like they started here and they kind of went like this. And I think they kind of drove up to like here. They I think they first put infantry here and they then later put infantry like over there. Yep. Turtle tanks. Turtle tanks aren't going so well, are they? Turtle tanks aren't going so well. I think part of the reason. Okay, so FPV drones have been mostly using kind of improvised weapons. I don't know if improvised is the right word. I think it is the right word. So they've been using like RPG warheads that are modified. So you like chop off the parts of the warhead you don't need. You only use kind of the boomy part, and then you kind of make your own fuse for it. So, um, so that's what like FPV drones have mostly been using. And they're okay. Like an RPG warhead's okay. It's not the best. There are better weapons out there. You know, RPGs are very old. So people have been working on making, purpose-built warheads for the FPV drones, and those warheads are vastly superior to the RPG warheads. They have way more penetration, like way more penetration. And also they can have other effects too, if they're desired. You can make incendiary, you can make high explosive fragmentation. You can make all sorts of warheads custom built to your needs. Um, so yeah, and you can make, heavier warheads that do more damage. You can make lighter warheads. You can make anti-personnel warheads, anti-tank warheads. So there's all sorts of things you can make with custom weapons. So Ukraine has been slowly rolling out. I don't know how widely distributed they are yet. I don't think they're that widely distributed, but they've been rolling out these new custom munitions, and not only for FPV drones, but also for dropping bombs. So they have custom built bombs. There's one bomb that I know is called I think it was like its original name was Sphere, because it's like a sphere. Um, uh, so yeah, that is a bomb that has like lots of like steel balls in it, like ball bearings. So when it explodes, it has lots of ball bearings. So yeah, obviously it's anti-personnel, and it's dropped from like a vampire drone or whatever. But anyways, so these custom-made weapons have much better potential to cause damage, especially the new anti-tank versions that can really penetrate quite a lot of armor, and they don't need to be as close to a vehicle to penetrate them. So like the warhead of like an RPG has a like a pretty limited distance that it can effectively penetrate armor. So you have to be like a certain distance away. You can't be too close and you can't be too far. And you have to be on a good angle. So you're limited by both the angle and the distance. Whereas these newer weapons, um, there's a wider set of angles. So there's more angles to work with. So you can do a more indirect hit can still penetrate without bouncing. And also, they don't need to be as close. So you can be further away and still penetrate. And that is what makes these 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 garden shed tanks, it gets a little obsolete pretty quickly. If you can make the kill range of the munition longer than the distance of the shed wall, then the shed isn't doing anything. You know, well, and that kind of wraps around to what is the shed for? The shed isn't really to protect the tank from an FPV drone. The shed is to protect the infantry from shrapnel from artillery. So that's a different discussion entirely. But just in terms of protecting the vehicle, it makes these cope cages and these sheds a little less valuable if it doesn't matter. Your penetration is so great, it goes right through it. So that's the sort of situation that those cope cages and whatnot are coming into. And there was a really interesting video recently of a Mista S got it had a full cup cage on, and it got hit in the back, like on like a 45-degree angle from the back. And when I looked at it, I thought that the hit would not do any damage, to be honest. Like, I thought there's a cope cage. The Mista has armor. It's not that much armor, but it's still armor. And the angle is so sharp that I think once you penetrate the cope cage, I think it'll bounce off the armor. That was my initial thought, but it went straight through and it detonated the Mista, and the Mista just absolutely exploded. So these munitions are getting really, really deadly. Yeah. A drone of a cope cage. Um, yeah. I mean, I've seen drones of cope cages. They exist actually. Right. So I don't know. What else? Where else should I talk about? There's one area that I find interesting, and one area that I find worrying. So the interesting area is right here. So this is south of Kremenna and north of Bilohorivka. So right here, very specifically right here, um, you see Russia has been shelling these trench lines. You may have noticed that I changed my area of control here like a week ago. I'll go back in time. I don't remember when it was. I think it was the 7th. Oh, it was the 8th. Oh, no, it was the 7th. Okay, so it was the 8th actually. Whatever. Yeah, we had this little change here, and it was based on this video of Russian shelling these trench lines, and we've had just more shelling today of these trench lines. So that is an interesting thing. I don't know if Ukraine actually controls those trenches. That's why I have it as a gray area. But that's just something to keep an eye on. And the area that I find worrying and personally upsetting is how close Russia has gotten to Krasnohorivka. Now, Gick says there's nothing to worry about. Everything's great. I feel worried and sad. You see that there's these little dudes. These little dudes. They were dismounting their their chariot here, their little war chariot, and that's right here. It's a bit worrying. So they dismounted right there, and they kind of ran in. You'd think. I guess they could have ran away. I don't know. They didn't actually show them running in. They just showed them dismounting. Uh, but they dismounted right here. Um, Similarly, we had some ATGM strikes. One ATGM hit this building, this house, and it came from the east, like this way. And these two ATGMs, one shellacked a guy like right between the shoulder blades, and that's not good for you. And the other hit this whatever that is, and those came from the south, so they're fired kind of this way. And I'd like to remind you that roughly here is the maximum height, like the peak, and I think like right here is, or actually no, I think like right here is the other peak. So there's like one peak here and like one peak there, and there's a valley in between. So it goes like down and then up. So there's a valley. So if you put ATGMs like over here, you can see all the way over there and vice versa. So um, the guys who were casually walking up this street, I don't understand what they were thinking personally. But yeah, the primary defenses of Razdolivka are a trench system that kind of goes along, or well, first it goes perpendicular to this rail. So there's a trench system that kind of goes here. It also kind of wraps up like this. There's a trench that kind of goes like that, and there's a trench that goes here, and it goes all around this entire stream, river, whatever you want to call it. So all the way to roughly here. So the trench goes from here, and it like basically covers, like it like literally goes along the shore of this stream river thing, all the way over to like over here, and then it cuts across the rail and then goes up like that. So that's kind of the main defense here. And as long as Ukraine holds that trench line, the situation is probably more or less okay. Of course, Russia Russia can't attack the trench basically, so because of the water. Um, I think I think the reason there's no trenches here is because this is a minefield. That's my guess. Because the trench like ends like right here, and then there's no defense over here. There's like no defense. So I think this is just a really dense minefield that nobody wants to go into. Um, and you can't really get a vehicle there because there's no way to cross. And it might just be full of anti-personnel mines. I'm not sure. So there's that. So Russia's only real method of attack here is from the east, and that's what they're doing. So I find it personally worrying that they're in the town. I don't like it when they're in the town. I'm fine with them being over here, but I just don't like them over here. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really get paid. I mean, I sort of get paid. I get paid in like views and clicks and donations, but I don't work for a think tank. I've been told I should just start a think tank and say I work for it because it would be technically true. I don't know. Should I start a think tank? What would be the name of my think tank? Like, I don't know. Yeah, there's no panic in Balaklia. That's true. That's true. Uh, yeah, I don't. I don't have anything else to say about this general area. I might have something to say about here soon, but not right now. Um, so yeah, I don't really have much to say about this kind of whole Kupiansk area. Oh, there is one thing I wanted to say. There's one thing I wanted to say about Chesapeare. Um, Actually, this is kind of a double point. This is a double point. A double point. First, I'm gonna look at it. Okay, yeah, this is a double point. 2 points. First, the first point that I think is very important. Um, when Russia attacked Kharkiv, when Russia attacked Kharkiv, the initial response from Ukraine was that um, was that of like panic. Like a lot of Ukrainians were panicking, especially like Kharkiv people, because they were terrified that Kharkiv would be under direct attack. Okay, so there's a lot of panic here, and then it didn't make anybody feel better when Russia made all of these gains really quickly, and people like a lot of people were starting to think like this was really bad. Like it's turning into a disaster. They've moved like 10 kilometers in like a day. Like oh no, everything is awful. They're gonna capture Vovchansk. They're moving everywhere. Okay, so that was the initial response was panic and this sense of dread. Then it stabilized a bit. It stabilized a bit, and people started like slowly feeling better, right? Um, and then Ukraine started counterattacking, which is really fascinating. The counterattacks are really fascinating. So the counterattacks they started um, north of Lipsy. They started these counterattacks, and then they started also counterattacking in Vovchansk, where they've retaken parts of Vovchansk, etc. In fact, I should probably update my Vovchansk area to reflect some of that. But um, these counterattacks and it's the stalling and then the counterattacks and the success of the counterattacks. And I want to tell you something. The counterattacks have more success than you think they do because not all of the counterattacks are advertised. and the full extent of their success is as like a state secret. So the situation is actually better than you think it is. So this the stabilizing and then counterattack, and then you tack on the amount of casualties that the Russians have sustained. Most of them are infantry casualties. They haven't really lost that many vehicles. A lot of people think they lost a lot of vehicles. They didn't really. They've lost some, but not that many. So, this whole situation has boosted Ukrainian morale to a level that I don't think we've seen in a very long time. It's like right now might be the highest morale that Ukraine has had since prior to the offensive last summer. So, like I know some people who have been rotated out of combat, and they're feeling good. Like they are in good spirits, which is not something you could always say. So, so this is all a thing. So that is one side of the sword. It's one side of the sword. Is that morale is high. Morale is high in large part due to the failure of this Russian attack. But simultaneously, the morale the morale boost that you get from Ukraine kind of succeeding in Kharkiv, the people around Chasiv Yar, they are not having it. The people, I read some interesting comments today about Chasiv Yar. Maybe I'll find them. If you give me a second, I'll find some comments about Chasiv Yar today. Um, okay. Um, okay. So here's a comment. Here's a comment. I'm gonna put this through a different. I'm gonna put this through a superior translator, so it's translated better. Give me a second. I'll put it. Okay. So he says, when I talk about the front, I have to be honest. Some people somehow reacting or started only reacting to the north and to the Kharkiv region. Many people are sick of Donbas and they don't care about it. Most people don't care about what is happening here at all. And the key felling is in Chasiv, Pokrovsk, Otratina. And what about Konstas and Kremik? People still live there. Not everyone has left. People still live in Slovyansk, even though the war is still going on. But many people have censored information from Donbass. But there are people here, and we are still fighting here. Okay, so that's his comment. I think there's more. Let me see what the. Let me see if there's more. 'Cause I think there was a second one. Um, no, there wasn't more. But anyways, there's this growing sentiment that I've seen. I've seen it raised not only from him, but from multiple people. That people they're basically saying that morale in Ukraine went up when people started fighting not in Donbass anymore. And the sense that they're getting is that people don't care about Donbass. They care about Kharkiv. They care about Sumy. They care about like Kherson, I guess, but they don't really care about Donbass. And they don't really care about maybe they care about Zaporizhia. I'm not sure, but the sense is that people don't care about Donbass. And the soldiers there. I'm not saying all of them feel this way, but there's a some percent of them feel betrayed. So this is kind of a double-edged sword. The success that Ukraine has had in the north has boosted morale to a level that I don't think we've seen in a long time. But that boost in morale, at least in some cases, is hurting the morale of the people fighting in Donbas. So, and I also want to this echoes what we've seen in the past. Um, echoes what we've seen. I remember when there was this whole big Kherson offensive going on. At that time, I I wrote an article every single day on Ukraine. I don't do that anymore, but I used to write an article every day. And in that time, I never wrote about Kherson because to me, Kherson first everybody was writing about Kherson. It's all anyone cared about. Everyone was like, "Oh, Kherson, Kherson, Kherson." Oh, did or is Ukraine going to break through today? Did the bridge collapse? Blah blah blah. It's all anybody cared about. So for that reason, like I didn't want to really talk about it because it felt like it's oversaturated anyway. So what I did is I pretty much exclusively wrote about Avdiivka. And I was like the only one writing about Avdiivka back then. Most people, like at that point, most people didn't even know what Avdiivka was. People didn't know where Vodiana and Opitna were. People didn't care about Krasnohorivka and Vesele and Kamyanka, and people didn't care about any of this. And Pisky, people thought this was like a meme. People didn't care about Nevelske, or Pervomaysk. So I was like the only one writing about this whole area. And when I wrote about it, because I was writing about it, people who were fighting there, when they searched for people writing about Ukraine, they would search for their town, like their area. Is anyone writing about where I am? And they would see like I was like one of the only ones doing it. So a lot of them were contacting me. And I talked to, a bunch of soldiers in this area. And at that time, there was the same sentiment that people didn't care about Donbas. They only cared about Kherson. They only cared about Kharkiv. You know, everybody was talking. And even if it is still Donbas, obviously, like Bakhmut is still Donbas, but people prefer to talk about Bakhmut. Like people like all about Bakhmut. No one cared about Avdiivka. Uh, you know, and people, and this is also technically Donbas, although I don't know if people really consider it this way. Like even historically, because Vuhledar is in Donbas, but I think even historically, Vuhledar would be considered part of Zaporizhia and not Donbas. But that's another story. But yeah, there's always this like what happened in Donbas, especially right here. What happened in this area right here, no one ever cared about. And it's still true today. Like it was like the only time it ever hit the news was like the final death throes of Avdiivka when it was too late to care. No one cared about the build up to that battle, all the things that happened to make it possible. No one cared about that. They only cared about the end. And then once the end was over, they didn't care anymore. So that's kind of a sentiment that's been echoed through the whole war ever since 2014. So it's something to look out for, and I would argue that in any given situation, you should ask yourself what is going on in this area of the battlefield, because this area of the battlefield is really the area that matters the most. It's easy to talk about, Kharkiv, the Kharkiv offensive. Everybody was talking about, getting into Svatova. Everybody was talking about like Krinky and going to Tokmak and all this stuff. All this stuff is all none of it mattered in the long run. What mattered was this central area of Donbass. And it always has mattered, always will matter. This is basically the whole war is right here. So how do I compile the videos? Well, I am in I don't even know, like 800 channels on Telegram, something like that. And I go through my channels, I get all the videos from those channels, and all the news and all the videos from those. Gick is in like a whole bunch more channels somehow. He's in so many that I'm not in, like so many more. And he gets a whole bunch of videos. And then Dirk is in like literally like 2,000 channels. Dirk is in like every channel, like literally every single one. And then he gets so many videos that it's crazy. So that's how we compile the videos. That's how we that's how we compile them. And then we watch them all. Um, we break every video into its constituent clip. Some videos are one clip. Some videos are 60 clips, and I hate those videos. Those videos are awful. Today, today I think one of the videos was like 22 clips or something, and it drove me crazy to do it. Um, but yeah, PTSD for drone operators. I don't know. I guess they got PTSD. I don't know. I think it depends on the individual. Depends on the individual. It depends on I don't know, your background, I think. How you interpret things, I don't know. PTSD is not necessarily easy to predict, I don't think. I think people oversimplify it. It's very complicated. Do I have an inbox for videos? No, I just have a normal Telegram feed. I just follow channels. And Gick follows even more than I do, and then Dirk follows even more than Gick does. It's like how many levels of onion do you want to eat? Depends on how many channels you're gonna follow. Also, I follow like I don't know, like 700 or 800 channels. Not all of them are video channels because I follow a whole bunch of news channels in addition to the video. Whereas I think Gick mostly follows video channels. So I think Gick and I might follow roughly the same number of channels, but his are like all video channels, whereas like half of mine are news channels. But yeah, yeah, so I wonder how many videos do we have today? Let me look. How many videos do we have today? Because I did 114 today. Um I'm gonna do count unique, right? A count unique for today. See how many videos we got today. Oh boy. So we have 173 videos today. 173. I did 114. So that kind of gives you the like how many videos did I add versus how many did Gick add. So I think I added about 110 and Gick added like 60, something like that. So that's kind of the proportion. And then Dirk will probably come and add like 60 more at some point and make us cry with his oh, so many channels, Dirk. Yeah. Being a drone pilot is more dangerous than you think it is. It's actually very dangerous. Actually very dangerous. Dick and Dork. No, it's Gick and Dirk. Dirk is in the chat. You see him. He's right there. He's Dirk. How I think things are going? I think things are going really badly for Russia. What's kind of interesting is how many pro-Russian people are starting to freak out. I think a lot I think a lot of the pro-Russian people are starting to see the writing on the wall for this war. I think they're starting to see what I've saw just the whole time, honestly. Yeah, Gik is here too. So, the thing about Russia is that, you know, there's this argument that's been made for a long time, that Russia is stretching out the Ukrainian forces, and they're stretching them out, and Ukraine can only stretch so far until they break, right? That's why attacked in the north. They attacked in the north. They're attacking along basically the entire front except for like right here. They're attacking, near Orkhiv. They're attacking near Avlika Novosilka. They're attacking, the entire front here, and they're attacking in the north. So the thing is that they're trying to stretch the Ukrainian forces out, and they're stretching them, and at some point Ukraine will run out of men, they'll run out of ammo, they'll break, Russia will have a breakthrough, and the war will end, and that's everything will go bad. Okay, so, but here's the thing, is that no matter how much Russia has stretched the Ukrainian forces, Russia has never had a meaningful breakthrough since Popasna, basically. That's a different story. I don't want to get into that. It's a different story entirely. But they haven't had a significant breakthrough. Even when they ought to have had a massive breakthrough, they still didn't. They took Avdiivka. When they took Avdiivka, Ukraine had to withdraw from all these towns, and Russia captured them all really quickly. That's not really a breakthrough. Okay, then they took Otratine. They took this, and we were all expecting like an actual breakthrough to move like 15-20 kilometers in a day or two, and like completely change the battlefield and something like that. But they weren't able to. They were not able to. And then they've been pushing west towards Karlivka, but they weren't even able to finish off this defensive line south of Pervomaiska. They haven't even been able to take Nevelske. So all of these positions, they're positions that Ukraine abandoned, and Russia couldn't capture them. Okay, so it all shows the weakness of Russia, that they haven't been able to actually have any meaningful breakthrough. Even in the north, where they went through, they took one of the most important defensive positions right here. They captured it right off the bat, and they weren't able to move forward. They weren't even able to get the Lipsy. Okay, over here, they captured some substantial defensive areas. They weren't necessarily big positions, but they're pretty easy to defend without much of a fight, and they haven't been able to advance any further. They haven't been able to get Volchansk. They were never able to get back Kupiansk, no matter how much they tried. They haven't even got Berestov. I mean, all these areas, they haven't been able to do things. They never got to the Jerabets River. They haven't been able to achieve any major success anywhere, no matter how thin Ukraine got. Even when Ukraine basically ran out of ammo. They had no supplies from the United States for like half a year, and they still couldn't break through. And I think this lack of breakthrough is coming through in the minds of some of the most pro-Russian people I know, that I know of, or anyway, are starting to freak out. And when I say pro-Russian, I don't mean like the brainwashed people or people on social media. I mean, like, the people who are a little bit smarter than that. Okay, you can read between the lines what that means. But anyways, so they're starting to freak out. They're starting to really freak out. Um, I think people are starting to see the writing on the wall. People are starting to see that the casualties that Russia is sustaining, especially their vehicle casualties, is completely unsustainable. That they might have around 1,000 BMPs, maybe 1,500 at most in storage still. Same with their BTRs, but like 1,500 BTRs and 1,500 BMPs, dude. They lost over 4,000 vehicles in this offensive so far. Well, what's 1,500 more gonna do that the first 4,000 couldn't? It's or even 3,000 more that it's bad. The situation for Russia is not going well, and you see right now the speech that Putin gave today on a peace talk, that he wanted peace, and he had this peace plan of basically Ukraine giving up its land and becoming a neutral forever. And neutral just means that he wants Ukraine to stop getting military support so he can conquer the rest of it. That's what neutral means. So, uh, the peace plan is a sign of weakness to me. I think to most people, is a sign of weakness. It tells me that he thinks he can't win. Anyways, I don't think Russia has very high desertion rates, or at least I don't think it's changing. I doubt it. I don't think so. I don't think so. Are there any other questions? I don't really have any other news to talk about, to be honest. I kind of hit on all the things. Unless Gick wants to come say something. I don't think he does, though. Yeah. We have seen a lot of dirt bikes recently. We've even seen road motorcycles. Have you ever seen a road motorcycle driven on an assault? Because I have. Not even a dirt bike, it was a road. The Germans are watching football. Okay. I doubt that there's any difference in rates of surrender. Not that we'd be able to measure it anyway. Anyways, I think I've covered all my topics today. Oh, Dirk wants to say what he always says. Yeah. Oh, there's one last video I want to leave you with, and then I'm gonna go. But this video, if I find it, where did I put Telegram? Oh, here's Telegram. Okay, so this video doesn't really mean anything. Don't read too much into it. I think it's funny. Personally, I think laughter was my emotion when I saw it. But here, oh boy, I clicked the button I shouldn't have. Okay, so here it is. Oh, a fundraiser. There is a fundraiser. Yeah. We should talk about the fundraiser. We'll talk about it in a second. But look at this big old drone. I still laugh when I see it. It's just funny to me. Look at that drone. It's the world's biggest FPV drone. Who's with me? Okay, so we actually do have a fundraiser. Konstantin started a fundraiser today. It is for drones. So far he's raised $5,000, which is 1/11th of his goal. So here I'll show you Konstantin's post. Here it is. Okay. So you can read it. If you donate more than $100, he'll send you a patch. But yeah, this is basically he needs to get DJI Mavic 3 drones for a few units here. He also attached a video, which is interesting. It's interesting in a lot of ways. The vehicle losses is one way, but the thing that I find the most interesting about this video is, of course, it's not oh boy, I need to how do I let me do what I want to do. Okay, so this will do it. Look how far Russia's gotten from Bakhmut. People have been acting like, oh, Russia's advanced so far since they captured Bakhmut. Is like, okay, that's how far. Yeah, obviously they've gotten a little further, but not that much. It's like another kilometer. Yeah, this is how far they've gotten from Bakhmut. But anyways, there's a lot of vehicle losses in this video. You can see the video highlights some of them. Or all, I think most of them, or all of them. So anyways, this is the fundraiser for now. I'll put the link in the description of the video. Oops. Yeah. Copy, and I'll put it in the thingy jig. Okay. Let me fundraiser. Boom. There. That's the fundraiser. That's the fundraiser of the week. Hopefully it'll only take a week to get there. Anyways, what else? There's another thing that you asked me. Oh, how do I think the war will end? I think Russia will give up and go home at some point. That's how I think it will end. I don't think Putin has 700,000 soldiers. That seems like a pipe dream. Yeah. What and how? All right, so that's all. That's all I have to say for today. That's the stream. Um, I have yeah, so you can support Constantine if you'd like to. Why would they go home? Because Russia can't win. There's going to be a point where Russia is going to decide we lost the war. Right? Russia's going to come to this conclusion eventually. They're going to say we lost the war. What now? The options are we can continue fighting and threaten the total collapse of our entire government and structure, or we can give up and go home and pretend it didn't happen. I think those are like the choices Russia's going to have. And I think I think ultimately they're just going to go home. All right, so see you later, everybody. We'll see you next time. I'll play like the outro song. How about that? I'll play the outro song. I don't even remember what the outro song is. Uh, where is it? Okay, goodbye.
Cruising down the street, looking for a fight. In our own state, got no style, alright. But the square edges and awkward frames feel like circus clowns in the military game. Oh, whoa.